What is up, guys? Welcome to another video, and today we're here to talk about The Crew 2 and what is next for that game. I've been very vocal about my opinions about The Crew 2 over the past few months, ever since launch, even in the betas, and today we're going to talk about the next update, the PvP update. For those that don't know, and if you've been living under a rock, this PvP update is going to come in December, and basically with the December update, we're obviously going to get your normal stuff. I think there is going to be a new discipline, but I might be wrong on that. But the main thing from the December update is PvP. What's next for The Crew 2? Because it's clear to me, Gator Rush did not even in the slightest grab my interest. So now, you know, looking forward with The Crew 2, the next big thing is PvP. This update needs to be big. I said this time and time and time again, The Crew 2 has no endgame, and it's been out for months now, and it's just a bit of a joke that I don't really understand what is going on. We were promised content, you know, throughout the whole of its life cycle, and always there for there to always be things to do and stuff. But at the moment, not seeing it. They've added hovercrafts, yes, and they've added in, you know, a bunch of new events for, you know, specific cars. But to me, that's not really any excuse when you've got games like Forza Horizon literally adding in Forzathon events on the daily. That's why I don't really see the kind of, I just don't see the appeal in going back to the game. There's no end game, there's nothing to do in the game once you've done things, unless you want to grind things out, which is completely pointless, because once you have good cars, there's nothing to use those cars for. You can't take them into online PvP events. You can't like really show them off. There's nothing there in place for you to actually do anything with those cars, unless you're going for leaderboard times. That's the only real thing. So with all this being said, we know The Crew 2's problems. I've talked about that many a time on the channel. What does this update in November, or December, sorry, need to add? Well, obviously the PvP needs to be robust. If it is literally just the PvP from The Crew 1 and just port it over, well, there's some big explaining to do, because what have you been spending your time on? Not only that, but the game still lacks endgame. If they add PvP into The Crew 2, that's not going to save it by itself. Where the hell are faction missions? If this update is focused on, you know, prolonging the game's life cycle, we need to see faction missions. Not only that, but I don't understand why events can't be added bi-weekly like Forza. I want to see that. I want to see events being added on the, like, on a very, very regular basis. I shouldn't have to wait 3 months for you guys to add 2 shorter hypercar races. The fact there's only like, what, 2 or 3 longer hypercar races in itself, I want to see more events. So keep adding events. There's no limit to how many events that can be added. That's only going to be a positive thing. Furthermore, route creator, something which Forza is doing, and something which I think the crew could benefit from, you know, tremendously. And I'm not saying a little shitty one that, you know, say Need for Speed had. I'm saying a proper route creator that is more resemblant of, like, say, a Trackmania type thing. Forza's route creator seems pretty cool, but why not go even more in depth? There's a lot of room for that, and I don't see any reason why those types of things could be added in December. You could even go as far as making it a very community-based thing. So maybe you can have like a community tab on the route creator for community events, and then you can have Ivory Tower's top 10 picks of events that month, etc, etc. There's a lot of ways I could go with that, but I think a route creator and faction missions and just adding more events as a whole is important, because at the moment, unless you want to do the same ones over and over and over and over again, you're a bit stuck. Again, something I want to point out Horizon has done very well is the blueprint system. It was something which I didn't think in the last game was done very well, but it's something which the crew especially can take major notes from in its next update. I also want to say I'm not expecting any of this to, like, I'm not making this video as a wish list. I'm making this video more as an expectation. I'm assuming that everything that is going to come in the update in December has already been thought about, has already been planned, is already in production. This is kind of my expectations for what are to come, or I should say what should come in the update. Maybe not necessarily my expectations, because I don't really think that they're going to add a route creator, but it's something that they should add. And if they don't, if it's not there, which I wouldn't be surprised if it's not there, but if it's not there, that's a very big thing you're missing out on. Clubs. PvP and clubs really go hand in hand, in my opinion. I would love to see clubs added to the crew, you know, and when I'm saying clubs, I mean like a full-on like Forza like club where you can have like thousands of members in. The crew has always been a weird game. It's always been about your crew, but you've never been able to have any more than 4 at a time. It's been really, really weird. Expand that. Let me have millions if I want to. I don't really understand why there's limits on clubs in Forza currently, but I think with the crew, that's something which they could really go in with, you know, a crew system with, you know, a crew hierarchy. You have the guy at the top, then you have the guys in the middle, and you could sort that out. I think with PvP especially with ranked PvP, that's something I could look really forward to. I think ranked PvP is going to be really, really interesting. I think that's the one thing which could actually pull me back into the crew if the grind isn't too major. Forza just dropped the ball with the solo stuff, and that is my current main game. What I'm maining is Forza. If the crew nails its ranked PvP and they ranked the kind of like ghosting systems, and if they completely nail, you know, how the ranks work and stuff, if they take it from Rainbow Six Siege and they kind of just put it in a racing game, I think that's going to really, really benefit them in the long term. That's my little side rant about ranked PvP. That needs to be like tip top, and there needs to be like rewards for those people that are playing ranked and doing well in ranked, because this is something which I don't know why more games aren't doing. Need for Speed hasn't been doing it, and Forza just kind of lacks the PvP element as a whole. It's definitely better than, say, the crew in Need for Speed, for example, but you know, the fact it's team-based really kind of just halves the experience for me. Modes need to be added, dogfights, you know, plain dogfights. I want to see rallycross. I want to see extreme events where you know, combine, you know, plane racing and boat racing. But this also opens up a huge issue. That means you're going to need to max out every single one of your disciplines, and that could take days. I can speak for myself here, and I'm sure I can speak for many others. I am not going to sit there on the Crew 2 and max out every single one of my disciplines to be competitive in PvP. There needs to be some type of like checkbox system, or some type of like playlist system where I can pick which disciplines I want to go in, because I swear to Christ, if I have to race a jet sprint boat one more time, I'm gonna kill someone. I haven't launched that game in a very long time, and if they said that PvP wasn't like that, so like if you just get randomly put into events with jet sprint, or if you get randomly put into events with rallycross, or if you get randomly put into events with, you know, speedboats, like obviously a few of those, you know, disciplines I'm gonna want to race. I really like rallycross in the Crew 2, but if I ever have to step in a powerboat one more time, doesn't need to happen. It just doesn't need to happen. So please sort that out. You know, there's so many disciplines in the Crew 2. It's kind of a disadvantage as well, because you're splitting up the player base and what you want to do. One thing they said quite early on with the Crew 2 is that you can play the full game, and if you don't like a discipline, you don't have to play it. Prove it to me, Ivory. Prove to me that that wasn't just a PR stunt, and prove to me that that is actually the case. I don't want to race hovercrafts. I'm not interested in them. I've tried them. I've tried to get into it. I'm not interested. Prove to me what you said at E3 about not having to like play a discipline and still play the game in its fullest. Prove to me that's real, because every time I've heard that off a developer, or every time I've heard that off a publisher, it's always been a PR, you know, bullshit move. Prove to me this time it's not true. It's really annoying, because anytime anyone says that, it's always fake. It's always like not true. Like, you can play the game you want to play. No, you can't. If you want to 100% the game, you're gonna have to use these other disciplines. And I think with PvP especially, that's going to be a huge problem, because I almost know like half the fan base probably isn't going to want to pick half of the disciplines. And that's where I feel like the Crew 2 has kind of shot itself in the foot. I did kind of wish they kind of focused on the disciplines which were already in the game, but that's my little mini rant about the disciplines over. Other than that, it's kind of just in Ivory's hands, really. We know PvP is coming, and we know a new discipline might be coming as well. And other than that, really, it's just down to see what they announce now. Gator Rush has come and gone, and I think it's safe to say it probably didn't do much for bringing people back as predicted. I've said all this before launch, or before Gator Rush launch, that is. And everyone kind of looks towards the PvP update in December. That's the big one. That's the one which everyone's been waiting for since the game has come out. That's the one which everyone's been looking towards to revive the game ever since it died 3 weeks after launch. So with that being said, let's go ahead, look towards it, and hopefully they can prove us wrong once again. If they don't, and if, you know, it blunders and if it's shit, well, I will probably not come back to the Crew 2 for a very long time, at least until an expansion comes out. Putting all my eggs in the basket right now. That is what I'm doing. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, and I'm hoping to God, I'm praying to Jesus that this is as good as we think it is, and hopefully Ivory can prove me wrong. Hopefully they can. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to go ahead and hit the like and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. You guys have an awesome day. Safe and peace.